Welcome to Furniture Industry News. Today is May 19th, 2026, and I'm glad you're with us. We've got a full slate this week. Housing data that tells a story about where furniture demand is actually coming from, a major retail brand making its comeback in a big way, a 100-year-old clock company rising from the dead, and some hard truths about what independent retailers are doing right that bigger chains can't replicate. Let's get into it. Start with the housing market because it sets the stage for everything else. New single-family home sales hit 682,000 in March, up 3.3% from March of last year and up 7.4% from February, according to U.S. Census Bureau data. Median new home prices fell to $387,400, down 6.2% from a year ago. Builders are clearly using incentives to move inventory, and it's working. But existing home sales, which represent the bulk of housing activity, are a different story. The National Association of Realtors reported April existing sales at 4.02 million, essentially flat from a year ago and barely budging from March. The median existing home price was $417,700, the 34th consecutive month of year-over-year price increases. Here's the key dynamic underneath all of this, and it matters enormously for furniture retailers. 68% of outstanding mortgages carry rates below 5%, and 51% are below 4%. Millions of homeowners simply have no financial reason to sell. Chris Beard, Vice President of Building Products Research at John Burns Research and Consulting, put it bluntly at the Sleep NXT conference earlier this month. People below 3% are not moving. There's no reason for them to. His firm is projecting 30-year mortgage rates will stay above 6% through at least 2029. Existing home transaction volume is currently sitting roughly 35% below 2021 levels. That's below Great Financial Crisis era volumes. And retail furniture sales were down 3.5% from April of last year, according to the Department of Commerce. So here's the reframe. The housing market isn't just slow, it's redirecting spending. When people can't move, they remodel. Beard made this point directly. He said demand for home improvement is strengthening precisely because homeowners are staying put and upgrading instead of relocating. For furniture retailers, that's an opportunity if you're positioned for it. The move-in purchase cycle is slow, but the upgrade cycle is alive. On that note, let's talk about a consumer segment that doesn't get nearly enough attention: second home buyers. Consumer Insights Now, a research series sponsored by Bread Financial, released its fifth and final study this week focused on the second home market. The numbers are significant. 14% of households earning $150,000 or more per year own a second home. That climbs to 25% among those earning more than $250,000. Nearly all second homeowners are 38 years or older. Baby boomers, Gen X, and older millennials are the primary buyers. Younger millennials and Gen Z represent just 7%. Second homes get furnished on a slower cycle than primary residences. 19% of owners buy furniture or mattresses for their second home every 2 to 4 years, compared with 33% for their primary home. But these are high-intent, high-income purchases. The top categories sought include outdoor furniture, office furniture, guest bedroom furniture, occasional tables, and sofas and sectionals. Color preferences lean toward neutrals, blues, and whites, reflecting the coastal and mountain aesthetics that dominate this market. NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun also noted that second home purchases are increasing, driven by stronger finances among higher-income households, combined with the rise of remote work and hybrid schedules. About 16% of April home transactions were individual investors or second home buyers. For retailers in coastal, lakefront, mountain, or resort markets, this is an underserved opportunity. These buyers know what they want, they have the money, and they're shopping with purpose. Now let's talk about a development that's reshaping the broader home goods landscape. The first co-branded Container Store plus Bed Bath & Beyond store opened May 16th in Fort Worth, Texas. It's the first of what BBB Inc. plans to grow into more than 300 locations across multiple formats: co-branded stores, neighborhood formats, a seasonal living concept, and Bye Baby locations. The combined format is designed around a shop-by-room experience that blends Container Store's organizing expertise with Bed Bath & Beyond's home essentials. Small appliances, textiles, BBB's signature towel wall, and curated bed displays are all integrating into the Container Store footprint. And over the coming months, Bed Bath & Beyond products will phase into all 98 Container Store locations nationwide. This matters for furniture retailers because BBB is building an everything home model at scale. 300-plus locations competing for home spending mindshare, particularly in decor, textiles, and accessories, is real. The differentiator for furniture stores is depth. A furniture retailer can furnish an entire room with quality, customized pieces that BBB simply cannot offer. That's the position worth leaning into. Let's shift to the independent retailer story because it's genuinely encouraging. The conventional wisdom says that independent retailers are losing ground. The data from some of the most successful ones tells a different story. Built Right Furniture in Greenfield, Wisconsin, has been in the same family since 1928. They have one location. Last year, they did $23 million in sales. Their chief marketing officer, Randy Schachter, says the key to their success is knowing how to turn on a dime. They haven't expanded to multiple locations, and they credit that focus for their strength. Their website doesn't support e-commerce. It's designed to drive people to the showroom, where they sell thousands of custom options that would be nearly impossible to offer online. Home Furnishings Association President Peter Theron describes the structural advantage of independent retailers this way. They can have a morning meeting, hear feedback from customers, and completely change direction by afternoon. A 20 to 30 store chain cannot do that. Simon's Furniture in Franklin, Massachusetts has been in the family since 1911. They've reinvented themselves multiple times. Fifth-generation family member Jared Simon said it directly. "We used to sell wood-burning stoves and deliver them in a horse and buggy. Today, they operate a 5,000-square-foot showroom with an 18,000-square-foot distribution center. The lesson isn't the stoves, it's the willingness to keep evolving." Industry columnist Catherine Green coined a term that's sticking, the rechailiscence. She argues that what's struggling isn't retail, it's the mediocre retail experience. Gantry CEO Ian Yang, who recently opened his digital lighting brand's first physical showroom in San Francisco, echoed this. The narrative that retail is dying is outdated. It's the undifferentiated experience that's struggling. The retailers thriving right now share a common set of traits. They're agile, they're deeply connected to their communities, they're willing to reinvent what they carry, and they invest in their people and their culture in ways that bigger retailers simply can't replicate at scale. Now let's talk about AI, and specifically about what using it practically looks like beyond the headlines. Bob Phibbs opened the Sleep On Next conference this month with a keynote that cut through the noise on this topic. His message: AI isn't a writing tool, it's a business tool, and retailers who treat it as a novelty are already falling behind. He demonstrated how AI can critique and rewrite retail websites, job listings, and marketing copy in minutes. He showed attendees how vague product descriptions and generic job ads are invisible to AI-powered search tools that consumers now use to get direct answers instead of clicking through links. Generic speak no longer works in agentic search environments, he said, and he challenged every retailer in the room to leave the conference with at least 2 concrete AI actions to implement immediately. Beyond marketing, he talked about using AI for sales training, AI-driven roleplay that lets employees practice handling objections and difficult situations in a low-risk environment. He talked about transcribing customer interactions to identify recurring patterns, what objections come up most often, where sales are being lost, what questions aren't getting answered well. On the supply chain side, the Hackett Group released its 2026 Supply Chain Key Issues Study this week. Cost efficiency is the top supply chain priority for the 3rd year in a row. More than 83% of organizations surveyed are piloting or implementing AI in supply chain analytics and intelligence. But the primary barrier isn't technology, it's data quality. Half of respondents cited data quality as the #1 obstacle to scaling AI in their operations. As the Hackett Group's Kate Riley put it, cost has been the top supply chain priority 3 years running, and that pressure is not easing. Finally, and this one is for anyone who had Howard Miller product in their stores and has been wondering what happened to that brand, Howard Miller is back. The Michigan-based clock company with a 100-year history has relaunched under new ownership led by Jim O'Keefe, who was previously the company's VP of Sales and Marketing. He's been joined by the former director of marketing, the former director of product development in a consulting role, and about a dozen former employees who've returned to the company. They're manufacturing through the same China factories Howard Miller has sourced from since the mid-1970s. O'Keefe went to China personally to re-engage those relationships. The company closed its acquisition deal on March 9th, but waited until they had inventory in hand before making the announcement. O'Keefe said he didn't want to put the message out with nothing in stock. They launched with about 70 items and are building toward roughly 230 items in the coming weeks, all shipping from their Zeeland, Michigan warehouse. The relaunch is a good case study in how to bring a dormant brand back credibly. Leadership continuity, preserved manufacturing relationships, and a disciplined inventory-first, announcement-second approach. For retailers who carried the line, this is worth a conversation. Pull all of this together and the picture that emerges is one of a market that is genuinely bifurcating. High-income consumers are active, buying second homes, remodeling, upgrading, spending on quality. Middle market consumers are more cautious, stretched by inflation and elevated costs across the board. The housing lock-in effect is real and isn't going away quickly, but it's redirecting demand rather than eliminating it. The retailers who are winning right now, whether they're 98-year-old single-location independents or brands rebuilding from scratch, share something in common. They're specific about who they serve. They move fast when conditions change, and they offer an experience that mass retail can't replicate. That's the playbook. The question is whether you're running it. If today's episode was useful, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to Furniture Industry News wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us reach more people across this industry, and it keeps these conversations going. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.